From Caterpillars to Butterflies, episode 23. You are meant to transform how a caterpillar becomes a butterfly.
Welcome to the From Caterpillars to Butterflies Personal Growth Podcast. Just like the caterpillar is destined to become a butterfly, you too are designed for a beautiful transformation. This is where you go to grow and transform your life. And now, here's your host, Certified Life Coach, Charlene Dior.
Hey, this is Charlene, your host of the From Caterpillars to Butterflies Personal Growth Podcast, where we talk about all things personal growth. If it can help you grow, we will likely be covering it right here. And today's episode is You Are Meant to Transform. It is a bit of a namesake episode. It is about how caterpillars become butterflies and what that represents to you and me in terms of our own growth and evolution. So I have said before that I believe that the purpose of life is to grow. We're meant to grow physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. We're just not meant to stay the same. And I think that some of the creatures that God put here on this planet for us teach us just that. And the caterpillar is one of those creatures that teaches us that we're not supposed to stay the same. I am a little bit obsessed with caterpillars and butterflies. So a few years ago, I was so unfulfilled at work. I had just changed jobs. My previous employer merged with another company and relocated headquarters to Chicago. And I had just bought a house here and my family's here and I didn't want to relocate. So I changed jobs and I was just so not happy. It wasn't the right place for me. I was so unfulfilled. I had very little to do. And I would look around at my coworkers and see that they weren't doing anything either all day long. So just really being super just dissatisfied. And I was really being purposeful about finding another fit that would be a better fit. I used to sit at work when I wasn't doing anything and do list of projects that I've worked on that I've enjoyed in my career, list of projects that I didn't enjoy, the pros and the cons, the good and the bad, really just trying to get a really crystal clear vision on what exactly do I enjoy doing. If it's not this, then what? And I was getting really clear on that. And I was going out, I was updating my resume, I was applying, I was interviewing, but I wasn't getting anywhere. So I felt stuck. You know that word, stuck. And on top of that, I decided to get into real estate investing, which is probably a good thing that I was feeling so unsatisfied at work because it really drew me to a lot of personal growth things. It drew me to, Think and Grow Rich and Les Brown and Jim Rohn and the magic of thinking big. So it really led me down this path of personal growth and then wealth building. So it probably was a good thing, but it was definitely a time in my life where I was just like, man, what's going on? So I'm doing real estate too. My first house went super, super well. I bought the house, I rehabbed it, I rented it out in a matter of weeks. And I was so proud of myself because I had no idea how to get started in real estate investing. I am a little self-taught, definitely went to events, went to the same event twice, because it was free, and went to the bookstore every day after work to read and write notes and things like that. And so it's really one of my proudest achievements to have no idea what to do and to knock it off with flying colors. So then I decided to go it again. And this time I brought on people to help me. And this house was a disaster, just a disaster. And so now I'm feeling stuck again, like, the house is a disaster in terms of how it's going. I had to fire my first contractor. I hired a second contractor and he's horrible too. And I'm praying and I have partners, but I'm really kind of carrying most of the load financially and labor wise as well. And I got to split the profits. I'm like, this is a mess. And I was at the bookstore after work, like I said, I went many times after work, and I saw this coffee mug. And it said, just when the caterpillar thought its world was over, it became a butterfly. And that quote touched my soul. I was like, oh my goodness, I get it. I am becoming a butterfly. That's what all this mess is about. And I've totally been obsessed with caterpillars and butterflies ever since. And really, that time of my life of being unfulfilled with work, which is really the only part of my life because I don't have any kids or husband, it was really the impetus for growth, but it wasn't the only thing, right? There's a lot of things in my life and in my childhood that have led me to the person that I was at that time. And those events were just the impetus of kind of coming into this knowing and growth spurt, because I was really learning about myself. I was really reflecting and figuring out what I like and what I don't like, and what's working well and what's not working well in my life. And it really brought me to this kind of aha moment. When I was a kid, there was an incident where I was standing on the roof of the family car. So we're outside. I think my brother was playing in a baseball game, and I am standing on top of the family car and I'm crying. And I don't know exactly why I'm crying. I kind of wish I could see that tape now. I don't know why I'm crying, but I'm crying and I'm being videotaped. And I'm on top of the family car. I'm elevated. And I don't know if I recall the incident or if I just recall the videotape, but that tape was played in my household growing up. And I was a bit of the laughing stock because everyone would gather around the TV and laugh at me. And I learned at a young age that people are judgmental. I learned at a young age that when you are the center of attention, when you're elevated, people will judge you and they will pick on you and they will laugh at you. And that learning was carried with me throughout the rest of my adolescence. When I was in class, I never wanted to raise my hand, even if I knew the answer. I went to school on a full scholarship. I was a smart kid, but I didn't want to be seen. I couldn't be seen because when you're seen, people judge you. So that's just one example, but there's the accumulation of a ton of things that happened in my childhood. Innocent things, not saying that my family's horrible, right? Just innocent things, but they shaped me to a certain point. And I made certain decisions, I drew certain conclusions that later on boxed me in to a point where I wasn't happy and I wasn't fulfilled. And being unfulfilled at work, again, was just one piece of the puzzle. The real estate deal being a disaster was just one piece of the puzzle. It was a lot of things that led me to a place where I felt stuck. And I had to break out of that cocoon. And I'm thankful that I kind of knew and that I did the reflection and that I looked at myself and looked at my life and what I wanted it to be, because I was able to then make some different decisions. And I did, which has kind of led me to where I am today. But sometimes we're itching for something new. We have a new life envisioned in our heads. We've moved past where we've been, or we're tired of being held back by where we've been, and it's time to move on. But a lot of times we're afraid to move forward. But I just want to, really the whole purpose of this podcast and the website is that I'm sharing with you, and hopefully you're taking away that you are meant to grow. And so all the things that make you grow that you want to run from, you're running in the wrong direction. We've got to start running to those things so that we can get to the butterfly stage. And also what I want to discuss in this episode is that, there's purpose in every single season, which we'll see with the caterpillar. There's purpose in every season. So even if the past season wasn't a great season, there's still some purpose in it. And so we don't have to feel bad about those seasons and feel inadequate or to have any kind of ill or negative feelings about those past seasons, because there was purpose in them. And so as long as we get the purpose out of it and it helps us grow into the next season, then we can really celebrate those seasons. I can celebrate standing on the car, crying, and being videotaped and being the laughing stock of the Blandon family because it's led me to this point here. And it led me to personal growth. like I said, I was reading books and I was going to events, and the first personal growth event I ever went to was right here in Houston, Texas. It cost a couple $100 to go for 2 days, and it was a great event. And I've been to so many more events since then. Last year, I went to 5 or 6 events. I went to go see Tony Robbins and Mary Morrissey, and who else did I see? Jack Canfield. So many people. And it's funny because I had caught up with a girlfriend of mine that I hadn't seen in a while, and she's like, "So, Charlene, how many events you been to this year? You went to go see Tony Robbins and who else?" And I tell her, I went to go see Mary Morrissey and Tony Gaskins Jr. and, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, "Yeah, because you changed. It's something different about you. I can't really put my finger on it, but something's different about you." And I was like, wow, that's awesome. Because I feel different. But when someone else acknowledges it, it's like, wow, okay, I really am growing. I like this. So growing is something that you'll notice, people around you will notice, and your results will start to show for it and speak to it. All your past means is that, it's really time for you to grow. There's no other meaning that you should derive from anything else that you've been through or that happened or anything that anyone has ever said to you, making you feel unworthy or having no confidence or feeling insecure. The only thing that you need to know is that those things just mean it's time for you to grow. If you don't want to be held back by them again or going forward, it's just a sign that it's time for you to grow. And it's time for you to be real with yourself about yourself. I say that all the time because you're never going to grow unless you're able to acknowledge and be real about your trouble spots. You're never going to grow unless you're able to look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself the truth about yourself, about what's holding you back. If it's, I don't want to raise my hand, right, in life, theoretically, you have to be honest. I'm going through life hiding in the back of the classroom because I'm scared, because I'm insecure, because people are judgmental, because I'm worried, right? You have to just finally be real with yourself about yourself in order to grow. And that is my roundabout way of introducing the topic of how caterpillars become butterflies. So there are 4 distinct stages in the life cycle of a caterpillar/butterfly creature. First, they're eggs. They are dropped on a plant, a specific plant, by their mother, and then they hatch a few days later. And they are a caterpillar. The main purpose of a caterpillar is to eat and grow. Caterpillars eat and eat and eat so that they can grow and grow and grow. They eat and they grow. So you can't miss the point about eating. They don't just grow haphazardly. They have to eat in order to grow. So when you are ready to grow, you have to feed yourself something. You have to eat. And now sometimes life will pick the dish for you. I think we've all experienced that. And when life picks the dish for us, a lot of times it don't taste good. It tastes like licorice mixed with anchovies, mixed with pig feet. Okay? It's nasty. But sometimes, most of the time I would argue, we get to pick our own dish. You get to pick what you will feed on in order to grow. But you've got to eat. So what are you going to choose? A caterpillar, because it's eating so much, it is growing so fast, it sheds its skin 5 times. 5 times it sheds its skin and replaces it with new skin because its body keeps outgrowing its skin. So what does that mean for you? Sometimes you're going to have to shed some things in your own journey of transformation. You're going to have to shed some people, some habits, maybe their spending habits, maybe their eating habits, maybe their discipline habits. You're going to have to shed some behaviors, some friends, some beliefs, right? You're going to have to shed some things. And you might have to shed more than once. See, I think sometimes we get tripped up because we have this breakthrough moment, this breakthrough in our mindset or this breakthrough in our habit, and then we think we're good. I just had this breakthrough. I'm great now. And we don't realize that sometimes you need another breakthrough. You're not done yet. The first breakthrough was great. It's awesome, but you got to shed some more. You got to have another season of shedding, right? Think about it in terms of a relationship. So maybe you've had bad relationships. You've picked the wrong people. They were a mess. They did bad things to you. You lowered your standards and all kind of things, right? And then you have a breakthrough and you're like, hold up. This is not what works for me and I deserve more. God wants me to have more and I get to choose and I don't have to settle. You have this breakthrough in your mindset about who you're going to be with and who they have to be in order to be with you. You're not just going to pick any Tom, Dick, and Harry anymore. He has to do more than just flash a couple of dollars for you. You broke through, right? And then you get into a new relationship and you think you're good, but you might need another breakthrough, right? Maybe now you need to break through the independent mindset. Maybe now you have to break through men ain't crap mindset, right? You have to have another breakthrough. And we sometimes stop at the first breakthrough, but there might be 2, 3, 4, 5 times we might have to shed some things before we're really ready for the next stage. So to recap, the caterpillar stage is all about eating and growing. If you don't eat enough, you will not survive the cocoon. You're not going to survive the next stage. You have to be prepared and eat and shed so that you can survive the next season. When a caterpillar is ready to move on to the next season, it goes and finds a secure spot. I'm going to repeat that. It goes to find a secure spot. Keyword being secure. When you're ready to grow, you just can't grow anywhere. You can't just haphazardly choose a place to grow. You have to grow in a secure spot. That's why I love personal growth events, because it's a secure spot. If you tell someone your wildest, biggest dream or vision at a personal growth event, they are not going to look at you like you're crazy. They will not hate on you. They will not put seeds of doubt in you. They're going to celebrate you and be like, that is awesome. I can see you. Girl, I see you. That's why I'm a fan of coaching and masterminding. I've worked with my own life coach. I've worked with my own business coach. It's a secure spot for you to grow. Caterpillars find secure spots before they go to building the cocoon. I read a quote when I was doing this research. It said, as time goes by, the caterpillar feels ever increased promptings and restlessly moves about. I don't imagine that someone tells the caterpillar it's time for you to build a cocoon. I don't imagine that the mom comes back and says, hey, little caterpillar babies, it's time for you guys to build a cocoon now. The caterpillar feels promptings. It is as if there is someone pulling the caterpillar by this invisible rope saying, come this way. Have you ever felt life pulling and tugging at you, saying, come this way? Have you ever felt your feet moving and not really knowing where they were going? And sometimes you want to stop. Sometimes you're like, life, stop pulling me along. Sometimes you get bloody and bruised. But still, there's this invisible pull at you, telling you it's time. It's time for you to come on to the next stage. I think that same thing happens for us. We get restless. We get a prompting in our soul. And sometimes we ignore it. Sometimes we try to ignore it and it keeps coming back. But the same instinctive nature of the caterpillar that tells it it's time for you to go to the next evolution, that same instinctive spirit or voice is inside of us too. It's telling us too when it's time to go, when it's time to grow. And that looks like being stuck. It looks like being restless. It looks like being unfulfilled. So we have to learn to walk when it starts to pull. So the caterpillar builds its cocoon in a secure spot after getting these promptings and feeling restless. And that's when metamorphosis starts to happen. Some parts of the caterpillar's body starts to liquefy. Some parts move from one part of the body to the other part of the body. Things get rearranged. The wings start to grow. The mouth of the caterpillar changes because caterpillars eat leaves. They chew. But butterflies, they drink from flowers. They sip from flowers. So now they have like this straw-like tongue, right? So the way that you used to do things, how you used to eat or how you used to get around, it's changing. You're metamorphosing into something else during this season of your life. And you need new tools. You need new utensils. You need new direction. Because if you can fly, you can probably go a little further, a little faster than if you're crawling. So now you need a new map, okay, during this stage. And that's the purpose of the cocoon. It is to actually transform and metamorph into a new creature. This stage can last, depending on the butterfly, from 7 days to a year. Mostly within 30 days, but from 7 days to a year. And I thought it really important to say that because your own transformation is yours. You can't compare it to someone else's. You can't be like, oh, well, it's taking me 6 months and it's not like taking her 6 days. No, it's fine. Everyone's different. Like every butterfly is different. It can take however it needs to take in order for you to become the masterpiece that you're developing into. So don't compare yourself and your own timeline to someone else's. When that stage is over, a beautiful butterfly emerges. The first thing the butterfly does is rest. It's tired. And then it pumps blood into its wings. It's not quite ready to fly yet. It has to pump some blood into its wings. And then depending on the butterfly, within an hour or 3 to 4 hours, it is ready to fly. And then it goes and searches for a mate to start the process all over again. So if I had to summarize the 4 stages of a caterpillar butterfly's life cycle, there's a time to be born. That's when the eggs are laid on the leaf. There is a time to grow. That is when the caterpillar is eating and eating and eating, so that it can grow and grow and grow. There is a season of transformation or metamorphosis. This is when the real change happens. And then there is a season for flying, for resting in the beauty of the masterpiece we have become, for continuing to grow and evolve and lay new eggs and start the process all over again so that we can continuously transform and grow and do what we were meant to do so that we can be sure that we don't leave life the way that we started it. And I believe that a lot of times we are so reluctant and afraid to do that very thing. How do you know that you've been afraid to grow? You've been unwilling to change. You have let some things go because you don't want to be different, right? You might have ended a relationship because you ain't like his mama. You ain't gonna be cooking his dinner, fixing his plate. Who he think he is? Right? You haven't been honest with yourself or with others about the role that you've played. I ask my clients, what role have you played in the current situation that you're in? Because if you can't say that you've played a role, you've done nothing, you're going to have a hard time growing through it. You're going to have a hard time growing through it. What excuses have you made? Are you making excuses? That's how you know that you have an unwillingness to grow. What I want to end with is this. Imagine that you passed by a caterpillar on the street. A caterpillar that's dead. It's not really a great image, but still, work with me. There's a dead caterpillar on the street. Or better yet, let's blow it up. Let's say that there are hundreds of dead caterpillars in the street. For some reason, maybe it was like a weather issue or a pesticide issue, and you walked outside your house and there were just hundreds and hundreds of dead caterpillars. What would you think? Be honest. You'd probably look at those dead caterpillars and think, what a shame. Those caterpillars never had the chance to be all that they can be. Man, they missed out. If they only knew. You'd probably get your camera out, your phone out, and take pictures of all these dead caterpillars. And then go put them on Facebook. And tell the whole world, look at these dead caterpillars. Look at these hundreds of caterpillars who missed their potential. Who never got to make it to the masterpiece that was in store for them. Right? You'd probably have all type of comments and sad faces with the tear coming out. Because we know when someone or something doesn't reach their potential, it is heartbreaking. It is unfortunate. It is sad. Yet sometimes we're those caterpillars dead in the street, but we don't know it. The caterpillar doesn't know that it is going to become a butterfly. No one comes and tells it that. It just feels the prompting in its soul that it's time to move on, that it's time to build a cocoon, that it's time to grow. It doesn't know what's on the other side of it. It might even be scared to be in this dark cocoon confined. Like I used to walk around in the sunlight. Now I'm stuck inside this cocoon. It probably doesn't even know, but it still follows the promptings on its heart and it reaches its final destiny. You don't know what's in store for you. Sometimes we want to know and we get stuck because we're waiting to know, but you don't know because no one comes and tells you. But you have to follow the promptings in your heart so that you don't end up like the dead caterpillar in the street who missed its purpose and potential. You are meant to grow. You are meant to transform. You were not put here on this earth to stay the same. So when you get restless, when you feel the prompting, when you have the instinct to grow, grow. There are probably some things in your life and in your heart right now that you know you are not following through on. I want you to take action right now. This podcast episode is winding down, and I want you to make a decision to take some action, no matter how small it is, on the thing that's inside your heart. And don't question it. Don't say, hey, I don't know, Charlene, that's what I'm really supposed to be doing. I mean, it's in my heart, but I don't really know because I'm just waiting on a sign from the universe. And, I prayed about it, but, no. If it's in your heart and you know that it's in your heart, take action now. I want to hear from you. Send me an email. Tell me what you are taking action on right now. Charlene at FromCaterpillars2Butterflies.com. Until next time, grow on purpose.
Thanks for listening to the From Caterpillars to Butterflies podcast, your one-stop shop for all things personal growth. For today's show notes and even more tools and resources to help you transform the life you have into the life you love, go to www.FromCaterpillarstoButterflies.com.